Hey, everybody. Welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Jeff Grubb, your host from GiantBomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about reviews for that there ASUS ROG Ally, Xbox Ally X. There's too many words in that title. And Assassin's Creed Shadows is coming to Switch 2, maybe? It's going to be a good one because we have Lex Luddy on the show. Lexi, how are you doing?
Grubb, pretty much since I guested on this show 2 weeks ago, I've had a perpetual cold. So I'm blaming you for that.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, it's been rough. I think turns out traveling for like 2 months and going to a bunch of events and doing coverage in between all of that takes it out of you. And then at some point, all of that catches up with you, and your body is like, "Hey, what if no?" So yeah, I've been doing a whole lot of not much and falling behind on work, which is great.
Yeah, I'm in and out of it as well. I was feeling pretty terrible last night. Feeling better today. I'm sure it'll keep coming in waves because these kids are going to destroy me eventually. So yeah, this show's contagious, and I apologize, everybody. But yeah, how are you doing otherwise?
I'm doing okay. You know, there's a lot of really good games out right now,
Yeah.
and it's hard to stay on top of them. I am going to try to review Battlefield 6's campaign, which I'm sure will do mental damage to me.
Yep.
And then I am also playing a bit of Absalom, which I think you're checking out pretty soon.
That's the plan.
That game seems pretty cool. I got that 6-button Genesis controller while I was in Japan, and that game's pretty good for that. It's real good. And just finished Shinobi. Finally finished Shinobi. Rolled credits on that. That game fucking rules. And finished my first playthrough of Silent Hill F. Still need to do some of the other ones. Still want to see some of the other endings because that playthrough does change pretty immediately. Your second playthrough has a very different tone in some ways, which is interesting. But yeah, that game's super cool too. And I haven't even started Metal Gear, haven't played any Borderlands, haven't played any Final Fantasy Tactics. So yeah, I'm way behind on everything.
Yeah, no, who isn't? It's plenty more games coming out all the time. Yeah, it's keeping me back.
Still need to finish Hades 2.
Yeah, same. I've decided to just kind of really pick and choose my battles here. Let's see. There's some games coming out soon, like Outer Worlds 2. Yeah, that one. I think I'm gonna try. That one, I'm gonna leapfrog. All these games I'm behind on. Let's just get ahead on the next one is maybe the plan. So we'll see when that's out. Spend some time on that. I'll play a little bit more Battlefield 6. Probably not too much more. It's just, I don't know, a lot of games. It's a good thing because they are all for the most part very good, and seems like despite the sort of depletion of talent from the industry, there's still a lot of people in there that are just making really good stuff all over the place, and I feel lucky for it. Let's explain ourselves. We're Giant Bomb, video game doofuses, independent games media out here on our own, but we're not. We have you at our backs. You go to giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member. That's how you put it at our backs and make sure that we can continue to do what we do over here, which is mostly just not make sense when talking. And then occasionally we'll play a video game as well.
No, this has been a perfect metaphor. I followed it perfectly.
I think it's all wrapped up nice and tight with a bow on it. If you like stuff like Golf Week, if you like our Summer Game Fest coverage, GB at Night, the Game of the Year awards that we do, all that stuff is possible through your support. You are the primary way that we make money and are able to survive and do the things that we do love to do. So giantbomb.com/join, become a premium member.
And I have to say, speaking of things that you're doing in person, the Bombathon, a package has been sent to TurboShawn containing goods from overseas, from multiple countries, courtesy of me. Some of the items included are for specific people on the team. Some of them are to be won in battle to make some games that you play, because I'm guessing you're going to play a lot of competitive multiplayer games.
There will definitely be some, yes.
Yeah, there's some items in there that can be fought to the death for.
All right.
And Jan, I know you're on this call too as well right now. I got your request about Siggy's. So We'll see how that goes.
Oh, great. Thanks a lot, Lexi. We need him alive. Anyway, that is the Bombathon happening later this month, everybody. We got a lot more details popping off, but God, Jim, when are we doing that? The 25th? No, that's when we're getting there. So
25th is when you fly in.
That's when I fly in. 27th and the 28th, 24 hours starting at 5 p.m. that night on the 27th. Come hang out with us. It's going to be a good time. And we're going to set up the future Giant Bomb during that stream. So please join us there. As far as this show goes.
Like killing Jan.
I mean, that's normal, actually. Honestly, the right now, based on our run of show, I'm the one most likely to die, according to Bacalar, at least. As far as this show goes, most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game S Mornings, or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. All right, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning with those ASUS ROG Xbox Ally X reviews. They are in, and they're I don't know. I'll kind of go through here, which is kind of an amalgamation of a handful of reviews from Polygon and from Kyle Orland over at Ars Technica. The ROG Xbox Ally and its premium counterpart, the ROG Xbox Ally X, are the first official handheld devices to bear the Xbox brand name. However, these devices run on Windows and serve as a launchpad for Microsoft's new Xbox Full Screen Experience, which is FSE for short, which aims to streamline the Windows gaming experience to be more console-like. While the FSE promises an aggregated gaming library and minimized background activity for better performance, in practice, the performance improvements are negligible, less than 1 to 2 frames per second. The aggregated gaming library is also spotty, primarily showing games from Microsoft's own Xbox platform, and still requiring users to browse and install games through the respective third-party launchers. The integration of these launchers is also problematic, often leading to slow loading times, unexpected pop-ups, and authentication errors, making the experience far from seamless. Definitely one of the big hangups I've had. Lexi, I don't have one of these. I definitely tried to get one. I've been an outspoken critic to the point where it's like I know for a fact inside of Microsoft that they know I don't like Windows on handhelds, and I wonder if that's why I didn't get one. They did send us one. Dan got one. So him and the Bacalar will be talking about it here on Giant Bomb right after this show. So they're going to do their little tech hour and discuss what's going on.
That's a real dangerous move because Dan is like a Linux guy to the core, you know?
Exactly, yes. So they're taking an even bigger risk there. Absolutely. That's frustrating to hear that the full screen experience does not solve my problem of like, okay, I'm trying to sign into this thing, like this other store. Is this thing going to be able to handle this pop-up correctly? Or when I click on the field to put in my password, is the keyboard going to actually pop up this time? There's a 50-50 shot. It just fucking won't. So it sounds like that stuff is continuing here. It's worth noting, as far as the performance improvements go, less than 1 to 2 frames performance increase. It's using a lot less power than some of the other devices, the Windows devices that use like 30 watts, 40 watts sometimes. I think this thing is using like 10 to 15 watts. So you're going to get extra battery life, which is maybe the way to go with some of these things. They go on to say, despite the software issues, the hardware of the ROG Xbox Ally X is well designed. It offers comfortable hand grips, strong build quality, powerful speakers, and clicky face buttons. The 7-inch 1080p screen is crisp, but its 500 nits of brightness is dim in direct sunlight. And, well, gamers don't go outside. That's not a problem. And it lacks the deep blacks and HDR of the Steam Deck OLED. The AMD Ryzen Z2 Extreme chip provides good gaming horsepower capable of running recent AAA titles at acceptable frame rates, especially when plugged in. However, battery life can be as short as 2 hours in turbo mode for demanding games. That's just standard for one of these things now. I really wouldn't hold that against it. Let's see here. Some of these articles draw a comparison to Valve's Steam Deck, which runs on SteamOS and offers a much more refined and seamless gaming experience without the frustrations of managing multiple launchers. Of course, you don't have the easy access to those launchers, so it's like that's an obvious give and take. Lexi, to me, it sounds like this thing is kind of maybe what we were expecting. If you had like a range of expectations, maybe in the middle, maybe a little bit on the lower end. I had definitely higher expectations for the FSE, the full screen experience, kind of hoping they would solve all the problems from the get-go. Sounds like we're going to have to kind of wait for or hope that they will continue to update that and improve it and make Windows make even more sense on handheld. How are you feeling about this thing now that we're getting reviews?
Yeah, I think probably worth noting, I haven't been the most supportive person of Microsoft recently, or of Xbox. And I think that the thing that really stuck out to me, I'm not sure if you saw it, but The Verge's review mentioned it. Reviewers had to load the full screen experience onto the device itself. So folks aren't sure if the version of the device that is being shipped out right now to consumers will actually have the full screen experience on it, or if they will have to install it themselves. And I think that kind of speaks to the wider vibe around Microsoft when it comes to gaming of like, we don't really care that much. You know, we'll just put it out there. You can load it up with the thing that we sold this on if you really want it. And again, like, they talked that stuff up so much at Summer Games Fest this year. Like, they were like, this smooths out everything. The performance is going to be, like, so much better on it. It's going to... Finally, Windows on a handheld is going to make sense. And now you're looking at, like, the reality of it, and you're like, oh, this is still going to be kind of a pain in the ass and only work for a very select subgroup of people. And... like, again, if you're buying a $1,000 handheld device, then you probably are that select subgroup of people. But I just don't see who this is for. Looking at the price and looking at it compared to a Steam Deck, I don't know anyone, because The Verge also had like a comparison of performance, and it was so negligible, the performance improvements compared to a Steam Deck, where you can get a base Steam Deck for $350,
$350,
and you can get like the one with the HDR display and the like more memory for like 650, 700, and like $300 is a lot of fucking money to be charging extra for a handheld console that like doesn't see a whole lot more improvement, and in some ways lacks certain functionality that SteamOS has smoothed it over. Maybe if you're super ingrained in the Xbox ecosystem, this thing starts to make more sense. But at this point, how many people are left that are super ingrained in the Xbox ecosystem or want to be more ingrained in it? Like, buying this is kind of a vote of confidence in the future of Xbox and that ecosystem. And do you feel $1,000 worth of confidence in the Xbox ecosystem right now?
Yeah, definitely not. But it's there's a handful of things here. Like, it is for people who are ingrained in Xbox ecosystem. Someone in chat points out, and this is correct, if you are someone who's deeply into live service games, you might need Windows because anti-cheat doesn't like Linux. They think you're cheating. So a lot of stuff like Destiny just doesn't work on Steam Deck. I'm sure people have found a way around, but let's talk about for the average person of like just loading the thing up and see if it's going to work. It will just work on this thing. I think the other side of this, the other shoe dropping on that side of things is that if it is just like an FSC thing that you load on yourself, you can probably find a cheaper Windows handheld, install it onto that, and get exactly the same thing. Like, there's almost no difference here. I mean, maybe a little bit more power, a little bit more comfort because it's got the ergonomic design, but I mean, that's not that big of a deal. You can always put shelves on other stuff or whatever. The price and then the lackluster FSE experience to me is kind of the story here. And then also that's the story going forward, because this is the first shot across the bow of Microsoft trying to combine consoles and PC into one thing. This is going to be the foundation of their next Xbox, right? This FSE experience. And, I think this is from Ollie over at Polygon, who said it was deeply frustrating in practice to use that. And it's like, yeah, that's been Windows on handheld. And for some people, having the anti-cheat stuff, being able to easily get your Game Pass games, if you have a lot of Epic Store games or whatever, because you got a bunch of free stuff on there, those things will be easier to access on this device, but they won't be necessarily easy to access, because you will still have to frustratingly work your way through using Windows, probably still updating a lot of things separately. There probably hasn't been a lot of updates for like the drivers and stuff yet, that as people are testing this. But I doubt the full screen experience actually has a one button solution where it's like, okay, we're going to update Windows, we're going to update this Microsoft experience, we're going to update anything ASUS has underneath the hood here, and then we're also going to update the AMD hardware. Like, there could be actually more things that you need to juggle now to make sure the thing is up and ready to go. So if you put it
for $1,000, you'd think that they would be like, hey, here's a dock. Here's a dock that you can plug a keyboard and a mouse into, or Bluetooth to, and you can put it on a bigger screen. Because, like, that's how I set up all the side-loaded shit I got running on my Steam Deck when I was, like, setting up emulators and things, was I got the dock and I plugged in a keyboard and a mouse, and I was like, okay, this is way easier. I'm just treating this like I'm setting up the emulators on a computer. So I'm surprised they aren't even offering one of those. I'm curious if, like, third-party, just HDMI or USB-C kind of generic hubs will work for that kind of stuff. But, like, yeah, I think the big litmus test for this thing, when I was over in Japan, James over at RPG Site, he was looking for the MSI Claw that they sell in Asia and they don't sell in North America anymore, because that has a way better version of FSAA, I think, and it has basically the PC FSAA rather than Steam Deck's anti-aliasing kind of stuff. It's proprietary stuff. I think that, that will, whether you're able to run good anti-aliasing stuff like that on the ASUS ROG Ally X, and what that actually looks like, that will kind of like smooth over some of the performance concerns. But again, like, all of it seems pretty negligible in the long run. And if I'm looking at this as like a consumer, Valve said that they are interested in doing more hardware, just not immediately.
Oh, yeah,
and it's been 5 years. I'd kind of be like, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait and see, because they will eat the costs on some of this, because we know that they eat the costs because they can, because they have the storefront. And I'm going to see where that goes, or I'm going to see where Sony's handheld stuff goes, because they will probably also be able to eat some of the cost with their storefront stuff. Microsoft, by, basically doing Steam machines for their new consoles, these companies won't be able to eat the costs. They're going to be charging you exactly what they need to be able to turn a profit on these things. It's weird to see, like, history repeat itself. This is almost like looking at, like, the CDI and stuff like that, where you're like, those consoles didn't succeed because they tried to license out the technology and that stuff, or the 3DO, not the CDI. Trying to license out the 3DO technology to other companies, and it's resulting in really expensive hardware. And it's like, we really have learned nothing. This is great.
Yep. Yeah. It's the people are really used to the subsidized cost of consoles, and this feels like Microsoft moving away from that concept, very far away from that concept, and that might be the most important thing about a console. All the other stuff might be secondary, and so these prices are going to be the first thing people notice, and then if it's not solving all of the problems that you just have with the idea that you're putting forth in the first place, and then is also just kind of clunky in some other ways, and it's not like blowing people away with performance. I think you got something that's going to be like, okay, I get it. We understand the appeal. It's the same appeal as the Steam Deck, but with Windows, and that has its own, positives, its own pros versus cons, but not $1,000 worth of pros.
It's fascinating that this has the Xbox name on it, because Imran Khan just put up a post on Blue Sky, and it's a screenshot of an advertising for the ROG Ally X with hashtag play all capitalized your games underneath it, which, when you consider you can't play native Xbox games on this, you can stream some of them, but like you can't play the backwards compatible games that are Xbox only. You can't play games that have only come to Xbox and not come to Steam and aren't Play Anywhere titles. Like, this is an Xbox product that plays Steam games better than it plays a lot of your Xbox library, which is fucking weird. This
and they haven't really said
whole,
anything about that either. Like,
this whole hardware is so weird to me. And the fact that, like, you don't have one, for as much as this is meant to streamline your libraries, you don't have one collective Xbox library. It's not like I can go in there and pick up my save file with, I don't know, Lost Odyssey or something that I had been playing on my Xbox Series X and just continue on from there.
Yeah, it's probably the kind of thing where it's like, I do think they will have a solution for that by the time the next home console Xbox/PC hardware comes out. So it's like they're going to keep updating this stuff, but what does that look like? They haven't said one word about it now. So buying it at this point on not even the promise, but the kind of hopium of that is probably ill-advised to kind of take that that leap.
Sean Hollister, in his review for The Verge, made a really good point, which is basically like, hey, this thing won't play GTA 6 at launch because it's designed to play PC games, not console games. You might be able to stream a cloud version if Rockstar allows that, but, like, what are we doing here? What are we doing with console hybrids if they're not actually allowing you to play console games? Like, what's the point?
Yep. Yeah. I'm in chat. Game Happens says they don't think they will find a solution. They'll just say, sorry, we couldn't do it. I mean, maybe, but like the whole, at that point, just wrap up the whole Xbox business. Don't call it an Xbox anymore. That's going to be bad. I think they will find a solution for that because that's the way to keep it an Xbox. But maybe, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they if they lose interest. That wouldn't surprise me. So maybe we'll see. All right, let's keep going here. Battlefield 6 has Call of Duty-like launch with 6.5 million copies sold in first days. This is from Eddie McHugh at GameSpot. Electronic Arts has not announced any official sales data for Battlefield 6, but one report from an analyst claims the game may have approached a Call of Duty-sized launch with 6.5 million copies sold in its first few days. Reese Elliott of Alinea, what do you think that is? Alinea Analytics. He's told me before. We've had Reese on the show, and I can never remember how to say it. I'm gonna say Alinea.
To be fair, you're doing pretty well just to get Reese right. So
yeah, thank you, appreciate it. Wrote that the game reached those numbers across all platforms, citing its own internal estimates. That would work to more than $350 million in gross revenue, according to Elliott. I will say, as far as I'm aware, these numbers are very accurate. Like, so that's one of the reasons I'm putting this here is I can pretty much, these are pretty accurate numbers. It's closer to Call of Duty tier numbers than any of EA's premium shooter efforts so far. But the question now is whether or not EA can foster this successful launch into a platform that stands the test of time, Elliott said. On that front, it is worth pointing out that there is still that battle royale yet to come. And Lexi, when do you think that is launching? When do you think we'll get that?
Probably holiday, probably closer to the holiday. But, you got to congratulate them. They're only 93.5 million players away from their stated goal. So
this is the thing. I think Battle Royale is going to launch before the end of this month. And it's going to be free to play. And if this momentum carries through, they might be able to get to 100 million players. I was like front of the line making fun of that number early on. But based on this, and with the idea that Battle Royale free to play mode could launch any minute now, with the excitement sort of at a peak, even like before Call of Duty can really have a chance to do any sort of real response, that would probably make a difference there. Battlefield, which is not free to play yet, Battlefield 6 is not free to play yet, had a higher peak concurrent number than Apex Legends has ever had on Steam. Now, it launched on Steam after its initial launch, which is when it had the most excitement, to be fair. But still, this is EA's highest, concurrent player number on Steam ever, and it's not free to play yet. So when that happens, I think there's a strong chance that this game does, maybe not 100 million right away, but they will kind of get much closer to that number all in one big go. So yeah,
Did the servers hold up pretty okay during launch?
Yes,
just in general.
They did, yes. That everything sort of worked for this game, and it just seems like they have really ensured that it has the best possible launch. This really does feel like the best case scenario for Battlefield. Like they're living it right now. So then, to that question, as they do release the Battle Royale, which again could come out before the end of this month, like what else can they do to sort of maintain this? Do you think?
I mean, all those conversations feel really weird now. Because ultimately, like, this company still has $20 billion of, like, bad debt that they now have to pay off. So, I'm sure they have their roadmaps, and they were like, this is what we'd do if the game's launch went well, this is what we'd do if it went badly. But, like, how much of that still exists now that they are a different type of company? They are not a company designed to please investors by having successful games. They're a type of company that is kind of just meant to be a shell for these extremely rich people who want to hawk the IP and maybe use the sports licensing things to get inroads into certain like regions and cultures and whitewash certain image things. Power. Yeah, it's weird. Like, in one way, I'm happy that like there is competition at the highest level of premium games. It's good that Call of Duty is being given a real fucking challenge for once. It is healthy for the industry. On the other hand, it comes at like the weirdest fucking time for the industry of like, maybe this is all a little bit too late. Maybe you got your shit together just a year or two too late, and the world has moved on in such a way that like things have already passed you by and this opportunity has passed. And no matter how successful you are, it's not going to matter. That's the thing I worry about. And, there's also the element of like realistic war video games at the moment. Not exactly something I'm in the mood to play a lot of for multiple reasons. And so, I'm going to review that single player campaign because I'm fascinated by the story setup,
sure.
and like the narrative context that they have built this game around. But yeah, if it could reach 100 million players, that would be wild. But ultimately, will that change anything? Is like what I'm left wondering.
Yep, I'm right there with you. That the deal with Saudi Arabia won't close until next year at the earliest. But all that stuff still hangs over everything that's happening right now. Like I said, I'll probably play a little bit more Battlefield 6. I'm with you though, where it's like this just is not doing anything. Like, it's not just not doing anything for me. The setting, the modern military stuff is actively sort of distasteful to me in this moment. But that's me. Obviously, a lot of people still love this stuff.
How much do you want to bet that Respawn is also like, we gotta get Star Wars out before that deal closes? Like because will stuff like that survive a buyout or the buyout?
I think that game just will, based on the previous performance of those games. But anything else, I mean, honestly, I think they were like, we got to get that out, and we got to like sort of prop up Apex Legends again before we get turned into a Battlefield support studio. Like that feels like that is the eventual future of Respawn if Battlefield Battle Royale really does take off. It's like, oh yeah, Apex Legends people, you guys have some experience with this, right? Come help out this game for a little bit, and then also forever. And now also you don't exist anymore. You're just another Battlefield studio. So yeah, that's a bummer. All right, let's take a break. Plenty more headlines to get to, including another Ubisoft game coming to Switch 2 probably later this year, and a lot more. If you want to skip out on these ads, there's a premium version of the audio show, premium version of the video show. You get it by going to giantbomb.com/join. Become a premium member. If you didn't do that, here's some ads. We'll be right back.
Grubb, it's okay. Just look at it, okay? It's fine.
What the? Wait. Dan, what are you doing here?
Oh, wait, like existentially, or what do you mean?
No, Dan, like here at Giant Bomb, covering games.
Oh, what I do for a living. Okay, well, I'm here because of Game Informer. That's right, way back in 1993, I saw Game Informer magazine and subscribed for the first time, and it has been a huge part of my life ever since. From working the register at FuncoLand and selling subscriptions to starting working there full time in 2009. Game Informer has been there for me the whole time. They mean a ton to me. So it hurt me, just like I know it hurt a lot of you when the unexpected news came down not too long ago that Game Informer was shutting down. But, nay, fear not, I say. That's right, Game Informer is back, and with 100% of the staff that was there when it shut down.
Now, Danny boy, I see that you're holding a magazine right there. Tell me about how that page feels.
I'm telling you, I have held hundreds upon hundreds of Game Informer magazines from 1993 to today, and this is without a doubt the best. I'm feeling this right now.
Ooh.
This is a smooth cover.
Oh.
This is a thick, nice paper here. The print is just good. This is a wonderful quality print magazine. It makes my heart feel good.
And I know that Game Informer is a team that I can rely on to say something substantial about games and the people who make them, because the GI has a stellar crew of editors. These are people I love to have on the couch at Giant Bomb at night over at Summer Game Fest. It's people I can always rely to have something interesting to say. That's why I know when they have those excellent cover stories, just like they always did and always will continue to do so, it's going to be some of the best coverage in video games.
And another fun bonus, Game Informer donates 5% of every subscription purchase directly to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital.
You know, earlier this year, the future seemed very uncertain for both Game Informer and Giant Bomb. That's putting it mildly. And as someone whose life and gaming hobby has been greatly impacted by both of those outlets, I am thrilled that we are both back and doing our thing online, in your podcast apps, and in print in your hand. That is right. Gaming news, reviews, everything in between sent straight to your mailbox every month. To subscribe, go to GameInformer.com/subscribe now.
Magazines.
Game Mess Mornings continues. Jeff Grubb, Lex Luddy. Let's do this next story. Assassin's Creed Shadows will soon land on Switch 2. Bill Kuhn at Deal Labs says, we reveal the release date. After several leaks and hints, we exclusively reveal the release date, physical format, and pre-order details of the Switch 2 version of the Assassin's Creed Shadows game. Since the launch of the Switch 2, fans of Assassin's Creed license have not stopped hoping for an adaptation of Shadows on the new hybrid console. Already available since March 2025 on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series, several clues suggest an imminent arrival on Switch 2. It all started in April when the official website of PEGI, the one of the European classification organizations, discreetly added the mention of Switch 2 to the Assassin's Creed Shadow sheet. But the biggest leak comes from French retailer Auchan, which accidentally made the game's product page visible on October 10th with a cover design to support it. It also says game keycard, indicating that a download of the entire game will be required. Real quick, obviously for this one, this game is like 100 gigabytes on everything else. I don't even think it was on. I think you had to download stuff on PS5 and Xbox when you got this game. So this was always going to be one of these. So this is not a situation where it's like, oh man, there was a chance it was going to be on a real game card. That was never a possibility. To date, no rumors or leaks have mentioned the release date or price of this Switch 2 edition. Fortunately, we were able to get our hands on them, and we take the opportunity to reveal them exclusively to you. All right, Bill can get to it. Let's see. Following our recent investigations, we are able to confirm the arrival of Assassin's Creed Shadows on Nintendo Switch 2. In addition, what is okay? December 5th. That's right. That's the date. December 5th. The game is going to hit Switch 2 right around the time of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. So, okay. Good luck with that. A pre-order phase will be planned beforehand. The launch date of pre-orders is still unknown, but should be announced by November 7th, according to the data that they have gathered. The price is going to be around €50 in Europe. Is that the standard price for games, Lexi?
No. Most games are, well, game pricing in Europe has gone fucking weird.
Of course.
But it can be anything from 60 to 70 to 80. Silent Hill F was €75 at launch, which was nuts.
Okay. So, all right. So I bet this will actually end up being around €60, but we'll see. Maybe they want to have some aggressive pricing after the success. That was not just critical acclaim and fans being the game apparently has sold pretty well. Because it did so well, if they can replicate that here, they may be expecting the same thing. And I think they probably should. It feels like the kind of thing where this game can probably do well. Did we die, Jan? Or are we back? Okay. Okay, we're back now. Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm. It seems like Ubisoft is kind of getting their stuff together on the Switch 2 a little bit. Like they've like found some fertile ground. After I think sitting out the launch in a way that I found a little surprising because Ubisoft's history of like just always supporting every new platform no matter what. I think they probably missed out on Switch 2 just because they couldn't get their shit together. Now that they've had Outlaws and this, does Switch 2 and Ubisoft feel like kind of a good match for the rest of this generation, or is this a honeymoon phase?
So just to circle back on what we had been talking about, Assassin's Creed Shadows Standard Edition at Smiths, which is that main Irish retailer, is €70, and on Amazon.ie it is €60 to €70, depending on who you're going through.
Okay.
So 50 would be like a pretty steep discount, so I'm a little bit surprised.
Yeah, we'll
but
see.
yeah, I don't know, Ubisoft is in a weird spot with Nintendo stuff because you can very much so tell that relationship degraded post Sparks of Hope. That game underperforming definitely, because like if that relationship had stayed good, we would be seeing a Switch 2 update for that game. And you know, I bet Davide Soliani would still be at Ubisoft working on something co-developed with Nintendo instead of going out and starting his own studio. So I'm not sure like what the relationship is there, but like that Star Wars Outlaws port, I've played a bit of it. It's really impressive. It's like in handheld mode, it is real. When you play it on a big screen, you definitely notice like, oh, there are some compromises being made here. But playing it on a handheld, it is really, really impressive. So I can totally see this running pretty well on Switch 2 if their technology is being shared and they really do have a bit of a grasp on this hardware. Will I go back and play it? That game is way too long, so no.
Yep, I'm with you on that. It's definitely there's enough novelty of like having it on the Switch 2 if it runs well that it's like one day $20 maybe, but at that point. December, I'm definitely just going to be getting Metroid and ignoring everything else.
If they put that Black Flag remake on Switch 2, that would be like a cool way to play that, you know?
Yeah, one of those ones that like I know for sure haven't played in a while, and if it's in a remake, with some significant updates, as long as they nail that thing, I'm with you. All right, Ghost of Yotei had the biggest first-party launch in Europe for PlayStation since Spider-Man 2. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC.
Sorry, that's just a really funny, like, the biggest launch since the last thing.
Since basically the last big game that we've had, because since then, what have they had? They've had Death Stranding 2, I think they would count that, and Astrobot.
Yeah.
Anything else?
I don't know. I can check Sony publisher. Lost Soulacide.
Lost Soulacide. Okay. All right. I didn't know we were doing Lost Soulacide numbers. I guess Concord would also count. Sure. This is from Chris.
All the stars are here.
The first weekend of sales for Ghost of Yotei made it the biggest first-party release for a PlayStation game in Europe since Spider-Man 2. That's according to GSD European chart data, as reported by The Game Business, which found that Ghost of Yotei entered the chart at number 2 in terms of both unit sales and revenue, behind, of course, EA Sports FC 26 in both respects. According to GSD's European chart, which counts both physical and digital sales of games across 24 countries, including the UK, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, and Australia, Ghost of Yotei's sales are roughly in line with those of its predecessor, Ghost of Tsushima. So yeah, the physical sales were, we had heard word of that, Lexi, that they were down quite a bit from Ghost of Tsushima. We're like, well, things have changed even since Tsushima in terms of digital. So let's wait and see. And it's like, oh yeah, that's exactly what happened. It's right in line with that. It's not growing at some great rate, but also that first game did surprisingly well. So being right in line with that is probably a perfectly good thing, especially because I think we got word that this game's budget was pretty similar to the first game's budget. So that is likely all good news for Sucker Punch and this game, right?
Yeah, I think there was a lot of people who were cheerleading this game to do badly, who were like, oh, it sold 30% less in Japan. And let me tell you, that is a great fall off for a PS5 game in Japan. Like, going to Japan and seeing how little people give a shit about PlayStation 5s compared to PS4s, that's fucking incredible. Like, PlayStation
we only have
basically
physical
doesn't...
data, right? We only have physical data in Japan.
Yeah, and like PlayStation basically doesn't exist in that region anymore in any real sense. Like nobody is buying a PS5. It is so restrictively expensive there.
Yeah.
And the support for the Japanese game scene just hasn't been what it is on the Switch. The games that this has had a bigger launch than, if we go backwards, is Lost Soul aside, Death Stranding, MLB The Show 25, Gran Turismo, which I think got its PC release, maybe, Lego Horizon Adventures, Until Dawn Remake, Astrobot, Concord, Stellar Blade, Rise of the Ronin, MLB The Show 24, and Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 is probably like the most impressive one, but I'm not sure if they
That did
would
even
be
better on
accounting.
PC though. Yeah, that's
If they were counting like the PC numbers in that. So yeah, it's a solid launch. It is a solid release.
Yeah, and I bet we will find out that it's actually doing even better in Japan than we realize, because while they might not care about PlayStation 5 in this moment in Japan, they loved Ghost of Tsushima in Japan. They loved it. Like it was like in that, you know how they love Splatoon and Pikmin and all those games that were like popping off way harder in Japan than they did anywhere else, even if they were very successful elsewhere, just like Tsushima was. They love Tsushima in Japan. I think that this game is actually going to get quite a bit of love there as well.
And I will say, for like as noticeably smaller PlayStation sections were in every single store that I went into in Japan, pretty much every big camera that I went into had a pop-up style promoting Ghost of Yotei and Death Stranding 2. And they had like, you know, banners and a demo section and stuff like that. So like they are still pushing stuff to that degree. I think when it really hits you that PlayStation don't have the presence that they have is when you go to secondhand stores and you look at like, okay, there's an entire floor of this book off dedicated to Switch 2 games, and then there is like 2 shelving units dedicated to PS4 games, and then there was like 2 rows on a shelf dedicated to PS5 games. Like, it is noticeable how little people are engaging with the PS5 compared to the PS4 and especially the Switch.
Yeah, again, I'm no expert, but I would guess that in Japan, when they see price increases, it's not a territory where they typically see a lot of wage increases. So like kind of the cost of living kind of creeps up a little bit, and then the wages kind of creep up a little bit.
So the thing that's worth noting about Japan at the moment, because I was talking to people who live over there, is in the last 18 months, the price of rice has doubled.
Yes, so right, they're like dealing with that kind of stuff, and it's like video games like having a commensurate like price increase is like, oh, that's so easy for them to put aside. I think
and like that is why there is dedicated Japan only hardware, because straight up they needed to make cheaper hardware for Japan. Otherwise Japanese people wouldn't have been buying Switch 2s. So yeah, it's rough in Japan itself at the moment.
All right, let's keep going here. GTA 6 leaker claims reviews will be handled in a bizarre way, although maybe not as bizarre as some people might think. This is from Scott Barrett at DualShockers. The release of Grand Theft Auto 6 is still a year away, yet Rockstar could be preparing something unusual for the reviews, considering how big the game's launch will be. 2025 was originally going to be the year of Grand Theft Auto 6. Imagine if that was happening right now, Lexi. But then it got delayed to May 26, 2026. There's still a chance it could be delayed to later next year or even 2027, but the industry is bracing for the game's impact next summer. Take-Two and Rockstar may already be getting ready for the Grand Theft Auto 6 review period and have something special in mind to make sure that no leaks get out into the wild. According to Grand Theft Auto leaker Detective Seeds on Twitter, the reviews for the next game may involve bringing reviewers to a specific location in order for them to play the game. This would be a highly unusual
that
move.
it is still 2008 in the Rockstar offices.
Yes.
This is fantastic.
You know, there's they didn't bring them out for reviews, but there was a like right before the review, a 30-hour play session with Hideo Kojima for Death Stranding 2 just recently. Dan went to that.
There was the 6-hour one for Silent Hill F, and then they turned that into a 4-hour one for Gamescom. So like this, it's not unheard of even now to do very last minute previews that are way longer. But like this was a pretty common practice for a long time. It was hey, come to a hotel room and play Duke Nukem Forever while Randy Pitchford sits behind you, or something like that. So like a company like Rockstar living in the past in some ways,
They have the
not
money to do
totally
it.
surprising. Yeah, they out of all of the companies that could still fly press to a specific location and be like, hey, you all come to us and you're not allowed to leave our compound until you're done playing the game. I can see it.
Yeah, and Rockstar is that controlling still. Like they are, they're that controlling, and then they have the resources to act on that impulse. So yeah, I won't be surprised if this is exactly the way it goes down. If it happens, whatever. If we get an invite, maybe we go. But that's a game that will be relevant for a very long time. And in that that review moment, there'll be like a fever pitch, but coverage of that game will be valuable for a very long time. So it's like,
who would
no
be
rush.
the funniest person to send to the Rockstar compound from the Giant Bomb extended family? Windbag? Probably Windbag.
Windbag's probably the perfect answer. Yeah, God, he would fuck that. He would burn that place to the ground just on accident, not on purpose. It would just be an accident,
Yeah.
Mr. Magoo style, which I would appreciate. All right, Target comments on rumors that it's no longer selling Xbox hardware. This is from Cade Onder on Twitter. Shout out to Cade. Target has provided a statement to Cade following rumors that Xbox games and hardware is no longer being sold in the store. The spokesperson noted that Xbox products are still being sold at Target, in-store, and online. Here's this is from PR, not from some like customer service tech or anything like that. We continue to sell Xbox consoles, games, and accessories, both in stores and on Target.com. Select items are currently not showed up on Target.com because they are sold out. But once available again, consumers will see them on Target.com. That's the full statement. Xbox also was like, hey, we still have our retail partners for the most part. They commented a little bit. The sort of conversation around this, Alexi, is, yeah, but isn't it a problem that it's so easy to believe that this could happen? Which, is a little bit of like, well, nevertheless, but no, it is a problem. It's a problem that the sort of vibes around this brand are so rancid that everyone is ready to sort of just jump to this conclusion. What do they do here?
The big thing you need to remember when Sega dropped out of the console business was that it was shocking. And now people are sat here with like Microsoft and they're like, it wouldn't be shocking. It would be like it would be pretty like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Which says a lot about the current vibes of things going around at Xbox and Microsoft.
Yep. I don't know. When it comes to, like, they are going to have to they can't wait on the Xbox hardware all that long for the new hardware because they need to like reestablish what this brand even is, because no one has any faith in Xbox Series X or S anymore. And if they were to like put out a direct successor to those, everyone would be like, well, we're not going to do this dance again. So if they're going to do this PC console hybrid, they need to come out strong and just say what's happening there. And in the meantime, it's easier and easier every day to lose faith in their competency to pull something like that off, or not even their but their passion to do it. It doesn't seem like there's much interest in saving this brand all that much. Summer Game Fest confirmed to return on June 5th next year. I gotta figure out my travel dates because Steph was just telling me she might have something around that time. Oh no. This is from Jonas Mackey at Game Reactor. Just a few months ago, we were watching Summer Game Fest with great interest, eagerly waiting the start of the summer's vacation. And now we get to do it all again when this happens on June 5th. That is, I believe that's a Friday, right? Yes, Friday, June 5th, Summer Game Fest returns live. That'll be the live show. So then that weekend will be the return of all the sort of, people from Giant Bomb got to go to the show and go hands-on with stuff. And there will be other stuff, orbiting this like always. I wonder if Xbox does a show. I'm sure they have done it the last couple of years, and they probably will do another one. Hey, yeah, how are you feeling about the Summer Game Fest, the kind of unofficial replacement of E3?
So I posted on Twitter for the first time in months because apparently Jeff Keighley still follows me on there. Something he was not aware of when I met him in person, which was quite funny. But I basically quote tweeted Jeff asking why this event is still being held in LA. Why it's still being held in the US, especially considering Every conversation I have had with someone at any show over the last 3 months has pretty much been, yeah, we don't want to travel to the US anymore for anything.
You don't want to. Hey, don't come here.
Yeah.
Especially not anywhere within 100 miles of the ocean, because ICE can arrest you without a warrant. That's just legal. That's just legal. They can arrest anyone without a warrant, without cause, within 100 miles of the border. They can ask for your papers, and LA is well within that zone. Do not come here. It is bad.
And so when you look at something like, let's say, a GDC, which is doing a big rebrand to try to excite people about the brand of GDC, the reason they're doing that is because no one fucking wants to go to GDC at the moment. Numbers were like flat last year, and I'm willing to bet they're looking at signups and participation interest for this year, and that number's cratering out. You talk to people who were going to TGS this year, a lot of them were like, yeah, we'd normally go to like a PAX or something, but fuck that noise. You talk to people who were going to Gamescom, they were like, yeah, we're not going to LA, which only is going to be further increased by the fact that, like, last year, there were the LA protests at that time, and you could see them from the show floor, or from the show, like, you know, whatever you call it.
You could see the smoke from the like alleyway or whatever we were in.
And I think that, like, Jeff Keighley continuing to hold it in LA is, one, super irresponsible. Two, super unnecessary, because there's plenty of other places that you could hold this event. Jeff, you're Canadian. You love Canada. Just move up the border for it. And it's bizarre that even after last year, everything I heard coming out of Summer Games Fest was like, 2 years ago, Harada held his birthday party at Summer Games Fest. He had a fucking ice sculpture there. He was hanging out.
Not that
this year, this year, from what I heard, pretty much every presentation from a Japanese developer was done by their USPR. Like, that is a pretty loud message of, hey, we don't want to fucking travel here anymore. I don't know, this seems fucking detached from reality. This seems like genuinely pretty dangerous. When you consider how much of the gaming media and developer community is either queer or not American, this seems like a delusional behavior. Why are you doing this? Just move it to a different region.
I do get that, like, logistics of these sorts of things are so complicated that the momentum just carries it forward, and it happens in LA because of that. But this is enough of a red flag, a shining bright red siren going off that you probably should make the effort to do it somewhere else. And it's not, you talk about people who are not privileged, people who are queer, people who are of color. But it doesn't matter anymore. It's everybody. Like, they're manufacturing consent to do this to anyone that has ever said anything. Like, it's happening right now. These meetings about Antifa that they keep putting on TV to sort of stoke the reasons that they can do whatever they want to anyone. So no one should come here. Like, it is very dangerous. This is a dangerous country to enter right now.
And, like, from the point of view of the health of the games industry, this doesn't help anyone. Holding an event that less people go to isn't good for the games industry, and Jeff seems to be very much so positioning himself as a stalwart leader of championing small teams at his shows and being a spokesperson for the industry and trying to drum up support for it and make it seem big and important. That the industry isn't going to seem big and important if only 3 outlets are attending your show. Because none of the rest of them feel comfortable going or sending people from abroad to go. I don't know. This really fucking upsets me. It felt ill-advised when the show was held in LA last year, and it seems like reckless holding it there this year.
Yep. PS Plus titles have they've been confirmed. This was a leak. Lexi, do you still have that list of all the ones that are confirmed? I think I have most of them on this leak, but let's just get the
Yes,
official list.
from the PlayStation blog, PlayStation Extra and Premium games are Silent Hill 2 for the PS5, Until Dawn for the PS5, that's the remake, V Rising for the PS5, Yakuza Like a Dragon, the first one with Ichiban, that's PS4 and PS5, Poppy's Playtime Chapter 1, PS4 and PS5, As Dusk Falls, PS4 and PS5, Wizard with a Gun, PS5, and PlayStation Plus Premium only is Tekken 3, and that's PS4 and PS5.
Thank you so much for that. That does it for the headlines, right? Did we get everything? We got everything. All right. Let's see. No new poll question. Or no poll question for Monday, I should say. We do have a new poll question, but before we do that, Lex Luddy, once again, tell people where they could find you on the internet.
Yes, for the first time, you can find me on Blue Sky at lexluddy.xyz. I'm writing some stuff for Shack News from TGS, and also I have a Gamescom piece that got delayed that's now going to be going up pretty soon, hopefully. I have some cool interviews. If you are looking for someone for reviews, previews, news, anything, I'm available for work for hire. Please, traveling to Japan is very expensive, and it turns out that money is important to live. So yeah, if you have a beat on any opportunities in games media or games crit, let me know, because I'm trying to find stuff.
Yep. Let's do our best to help out our friends, everybody. All right, new poll question. Now that you've seen reviews, are you getting the ASUS ROG Xbox Ally or the Xbox Ally X? Yes or no? Those are your options. We'll get the results on Game Best Mornings here on Giant Bomb tomorrow. Speaking of Giant Bomb, if you are here watching live, stick around. There's the Dan Reichert and Jeff Bakalar Tech Hour happening here imminently. Later today, we'll have the latest episode of Blight Club. There's plenty more fun stuff happening as well. There could be a This Is the Run happening at any moment. We'll let everybody know exactly when that's happening. But if you are like listening to this later, or if you're listening to it now and you won't be able to check back in until later, giantbomb.com will have all the details about that. So you can find the show there and start watching along. We'll be sure to put that up every time we have a new episode. All right, let's see anything else. I think that does it. Lexi,
I'm really worried that Bakalar won't give the Ally X a fair shot because it doesn't have a keyboard.
Yeah, or a coolant refrigerant. Yeah, that's going to be the real thing that holds it back there. Lexi, thank you so much for hanging out with me today and talking about video games. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, Grubb. Always a pleasure.
Thank you all for watching and listening. You are the best audience in gaming. Until next time, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.